everyone. Welcome back to the show. You're here with me, Syndigo, your host on the Travel Flow Radio podcast. And thank you guys for tuning in. I want to say Happy New Year. I'm recording this not on New Year's Day, but it is getting published on New Year's Day. So I hope everybody had an amazing time last night and having a good start to your day on the very first day of the year. So yeah, today's episode, I'm very excited because we're diving into what work trading is and how to do it, what to do it with, and all those good things. And also talking about my very first Workaway work trade experience. So it's going to be really fun. You're going to learn a lot and you're going to know about the benefits, the drawbacks. And then, of course, I'll share my experience. And then at the end of the episode, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to get started and also give you some advice on how to set yourself up for success, what to look out for, what to look for in picking a work trade. So before we get started, I just want to come on in here and just say, I hope you guys have had a wonderful end of the year. I hope you had a great couple holidays. Thank you so much. If this is your first time listening, thanks for tuning in. And I hope you enjoy the show. If you've listened before, I really, really, really want to thank you for your support, for your attention and your ears and everything that you are doing to help me make my dreams come true. And what I really want to ask of you guys is to just share this podcast with somebody that you think would enjoy it, somebody who would love to just relax, sit back, listen to some stories, maybe learn a few things about some different countries around the world, and also learn a little bit more about traveling. So that would be like the best Christmas present, New Year's Day present for me if you do that for me. So thank you so much. And if you're new to the podcast, stick around. And if you feel like leaving a review or rating the podcast, if you've listened before, please consider doing that. Those two things, sharing it and reviewing and rating it, are the best ways you can support my podcast. And on Spotify, you can rate. On other platforms, you can review. So I really appreciate it. And yeah. And I hope you guys had a wonderful year. Looking back on my year of 2024, I had the cat that I'm watching almost was right by the candle, and I was worried it was going to catch on fire. But anyways, this year has been incredible for me. I took a huge trip traveling. I saw 6 different countries, and I learned how to ride a motorbike, all of these things that I kind of really didn't expect. I got my yoga teacher certificate and all these amazing things. And I'm just so grateful for life. And I'm so grateful to be able to live this life and be here talking on this podcast. Kind of crazy imposter syndrome sometimes, but we're doing it right. And I hope you guys enjoyed the year. I hope you feel accomplished in whatever that you've done. And even the smallest things, I hope you feel accomplished for, because, some days, like I just said, I'm like, oh, I'm so excited for life. And then some days I'm like, what? Why do we have to do this? So it's kind of like, a double-edged sword life. It's like you have to do it, but you also get to do it. So I just hope that you're enjoying life and setting up for the new year to accomplish the things that you want to and set yourself up to be the person that you want to be. And I hope you guys have some really interesting travel plans for the upcoming 2025. I know I do. And big surprise, I'm going back to South America, of course. And yeah, so I'd love to know your upcoming travel plans for 2025. I'm probably going to make a post about it on my Instagram. Other than that, lots of good things coming at you as far as episodes. I have so many things that I'm excited to share. I have lots of people that I am scheduling interviews with to get on the podcast. So there's going to be so much content coming your way. I hope that you can handle it all. And I am trying ever so much to get myself more active on social media. It is just like the biggest learning curve for me because I don't really love technology, even though I've kind of tackled this technology abundant interest of podcasting. So I'm trying to get my Instagram where I want it to, all these things. Okay, that doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead and get into today's episode. Okay, here we go. And volunteering has really been my gateway to being able to travel, see, and do almost all of the things that I've done over the past years. And I gotta say, if you ever get the privilege to volunteer in another country, it can be one of the most rewarding and unique experiences of your life. And I highly recommend it. Not only because, of course, it saves you money, but it also allows you to connect with like-minded people, find communities that you can feel safe in while traveling, and even build community while you're there and creating something that's not there already while traveling. And as we all know, if you've traveled before, building community and finding community is really hard sometimes. You know, you're meeting people all the time, but nobody's really sticking around. That can be a huge bummer while traveling, is just not having consistent friends that are like in person. So Workaway is a great way to go ahead and set yourself up with like a family or a group of people that you can call your community and call your home while you're in such a faraway place. And also, along with all that, you do get to open up to some pretty incredible experiences that you probably wouldn't have gotten just going on the common route. So through my work trading experience in the past, I've been able to learn how to sail a boat. I have translated for English speakers, like Spanish to English. I have rented kayaks on a really cool lake and worked at a lodge. I've taught English to people. I've worked in hostels. I have done so much cool stuff. I've climbed a volcano because this guy wanted somebody to take pictures of his adventure trips. And we just went and climbed a volcano. And I was just there taking pictures. I got to do all that for free, like crampons, ice picks, all of the gear I got to do completely for free. And these are things that anybody can do. You can do it right now. I hope that right now you're envisioning what you would want to go volunteer with and what you would want to do and put your skills towards or learn new skills. Because, you know, I've done ones where I'm just picking blackberries and I'm just hiking through the woods, finding blackberries to bring back, things as simple as that. So I really like it because it does make traveling very accessible for a lot of people and just kind of really opens up the doors for seeing the world. So I really appreciate it in that sense. And I really love it for that. So I'll break down kind of what work trading is. So work trading is when you trade your work, your skills, your labor for accommodation and typically food. If there's no food, there's definitely accommodation, but most of them include food. It just really depends on what you're doing and what country you're in and things like that. But so there's a couple of platforms that you can do this on. The one that I use is Workaway. And then there's also World Packers. I'm sure there's some other ones. There's some Facebook groups where you don't have to pay membership fees. But the good thing with the Workaway and the World Packers is that the host have to be verified and that there's reviews on each host. And it's a little bit more secure if you're nervous about some creepy person being on there, some scary person, which is definitely something that you have to look out for. And so pretty much you make a profile about all these things that you can do and the skills and jobs that you can offer, and then your pictures and what countries you're going to and what you're interested in learning or getting out of the experience. And then the host, the people who are looking for volunteers, make a profile of their accommodations that they have for you, what they can provide for you, what kind of work they're looking for, and then just anything else that is pertinent to the volunteer. They also post pictures. So it's really fun. It's kind of like social media in a way, but for volunteering around the world. And it's super cool. You can go on their websites. All of these ones that I've been naming, World Packers, Workaway. And I am not affiliated with them at all. It may sound like it. I just really like them. Maybe I'll be affiliated with them one day. But you can go on their websites and go ahead and just look at the opportunities out there. And you don't even have to pay for the membership until you want to message one of them and be a part of them. Also, I've kind of Ones that I have found on other platforms that I'm not using, I try to find them on Facebook and then just hit them up out of the blue, or not out of the blue, but like on their social medias. I'll try to find whatever hostel, company, farm, whatever it is, whatever place, dive shop, tourist agency that I want to volunteer with. If I see them on World Packers and they have their name, or they even have just the town that they're in and what they're about, and then I go and I try to find them online and then email them. And that is a good way to get around paying for the membership. Or if you pay for the membership, but you find stuff on other websites, you can kind of get around it in that sense. So free tip for you there. And yeah, so pretty much that's the breakdown of it. For Workaway, it's like a $45 membership for a year, but it is so worth it because I don't know how many times I have gone so many days without spending any money. Like I did a Workaway in Chile, and the whole 2 weeks that I was there, I literally did not spend any money except to split a bottle of wine with somebody. So I literally didn't spend a dime in those 2 weeks except for a half a bottle of wine. So that was just like amazing. And like I said, we're going to talk about the benefits and the drawbacks. I already mentioned how you can find community. It's safe. It kind of gives you a plan and kind of a routine, because as traveling, it's kind of all spontaneous and a lot of people crave routine. And Workaway is a great way to kind of have a routine. If you're there for a month, if you're there for 2 months, 3 months, 2 weeks, you have a nice little routine for a while. And that's very refreshing. And unique experiences, like I already said, you never know what you're going to get into. Also, a lot of the people who are doing the Workaways, they're obviously locals, and they're going to take you out to the best spots and make sure that you have a good time, because not only are these Workaway people looking for workers, but they're also just looking to show off their country and show off their town or their city or whatever they have, and make sure that you have a great time, because these people also really enjoy meeting people from all over the world and having that social experience. Like sometimes some of the ones that I've had, only one really, I've kind of been like, oh, I think this guy was just lonely and he just wanted to hang out and have friends with somebody. Like he was a super chill guy. It's actually the one that I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes. But I realized, I was like, he doesn't even really want to learn English. He just wants to hang out. So some people are like that, especially when they live up on a farm and it's hard to meet people. They just want travelers coming in. And you can increase your skills as well. Like I said, I learned how to sail completely for free. I'm not the best sailor, that's for sure, but I wouldn't really trust me to completely be the captain of the ship. But I learned how to sail a bit in Mexico doing a Workaway with this amazing woman, and it was great. And then I've also learned how to make bread and blueberry pie. I've learned how to cut mosaics. And I've increased my other skills of like translation and diving and tour guiding, and all these amazing things. So there's literally, language learning skills, plant medicine skills that you can learn. Literally the possibilities are endless. And I meant to mention this earlier. A lot of people think of work trade as only on farms. Like they'll think about woofing worldwide, working on organic farms or something like that. And that's a great thing to do too, but it's very limited in the fact that you only have farms to work on. And Workaway and World Packers and such, they include farms, hostels, tour agencies, house sitting, pet sitting, childcare, translation services. The thing that I see a lot on is computer work, like website building, social media marketing, and management. Things like that. So literally anything that you have or anything that you want to learn, you can go and do it. It's amazing. Some of the drawbacks. So sometimes it doesn't always work out. Sometimes you just don't really vibe with the people, or there's no other volunteers here and you kind of feel lonely in a sense. And sometimes what I've had is that they are yes people, but they don't take action. It's like those people who are like, hey, we need to do this. Hey, why don't we do this? And they're like, oh, yes. Tomorrow. I hate people like that. And sometimes those people are creepy. And, especially as a woman traveling alone, you really got to be careful for those situations and make sure that you are not putting yourself in a situation where somebody can hurt you. And then sometimes the Workaway host may try to work you for longer than you have previously agreed on. And yes, all three of these things have actually happened to me. And I'll go into those in next episodes on Workaway. I want this to be a series where I bring in my favorite Workaways over the years and some of the ones that haven't been so great and all those things. So stay tuned. I'll give a couple more pieces of advice at the end of the episode. But for right now, we're about to hop into the story. So here we go. Of course, I'm back in Chile. As many of you know, if you've listened to a lot of the episodes that I've had, I have, had a lot of stories from Chile. It's my first country that I ever backpacked in. So of course, it's going to leave a pretty big mark on me. And this was the first country that I ever did a Workaway in. So we're rolling into my very first Workaway experience. And like I have said before in my previous episodes, I was down in Chile doing a university program and then was going to stay and travel all the way throughout South America. As we know, that got cut short because of COVID. But anyways, starting off, I finished my course and I'm on my own. And of course before I went down there, I had all these plans semi-made where I had messaged Workaway host and had some things kind of set up, nothing set in stone, but I had a couple people that I was going to go to. And then of course, if you've ever been long-term traveling, you know that all those plans just go out the window. Like it doesn't matter what you plan on a long-term trip like that. As soon as you hit the ground, shit is going to change. I'll tell you that much. So of course, all my plans changed. And I decided to just take it easy because I was very intimidated to kind of go out on my own. Like I said, I was 21, never left the country really before by myself completely. And I was a little nervous. So I found a Workaway close by that was in pretty much the same town that I had been in. And it was super chill. I was going to teach English to this guy and I was going to get an exchange, food, and accommodation. And it was just going to be just me for the first couple of days. And then later there was another girl coming in to also teach English because he had enough room for two. So I start making my way over there. I can't even remember how I got over there. I feel like I maybe walked the whole way. I remember leaving and walking. I might have gotten on a bus. Not sure. But anyways, no, I think the guy met me in the middle of the town. He picked me up and took me back to his house, which you should always be careful of because I've done that before and the guy seemed really, really weird. It'll be on another podcast episode, but almost immediately got red flags. But anyways, this guy picked me up, took me back to his house, and he was telling me that he was having friends over and we were all going to have a pizza party to kind of welcome me to the house and welcome me to the Workaway. So it was really nice, really fun and chill hanging out with his friends. I felt very welcomed and very safe. Everybody left. Then it was just me and him. And I'm still settling in. And he gets a phone call from his friend that their tire had gotten flat and they really needed some help. So of course he's going to go help his friend. And he offered for me to either come with him or stay here and take a shower and settle in and all that stuff. So I was like, I'm going to stay here, whatever. He leaves. And of course, my mind goes immediately to, oh, he's going to watch me in the window shower is what my mind goes to. Because for some reason, and this is something that I should probably work out with a therapist, and I've definitely gotten a lot better about it. But for some reason, especially when I'm traveling, I have the mindset that everybody's out to get me. What are you doing? What are you trying to steal from me? Why are you trying to hurt me? Like, what's going on here? And I've gotten a lot better about it. And it's definitely been a mindset that I'm grateful for because it probably has saved me from danger or, kind of prevented somebody from taking advantage of me because they know that I'm aware. But anyways, so I'm setting up to take a shower. I've settled in. I'm going into the bathroom and I'm bringing my knife because I don't think I had any pepper spray on me at the time. And all I had was my knife. And I was worried that he was going to pop out and get me or whatever. So bring my knife with me to the bathroom, and I got it opened. I have my knife completely open. I'm pretty sure it's like a pocket knife, completely open. I sit it on the back of the toilet, and I go and I use the bathroom before I hop in the shower. And as I flush the toilet, the knife slips off the back of the toilet and falls into it as the water is swirling. And in 2 seconds, the knife is completely gone. And I'm just like freaking out because first, I just feel really bad because I feel like that knife could really mess up some plumbing. And then secondly, I also feel like that was my only knife. That was my only knife that I brought on this whole trip for me traveling around South America, one of the most like deemed dangerous places in the world. So I never told him about it. I just, I stayed there for a whole week, but my knife was completely gone. And a lot of you guys, especially maybe my European listeners, they might be like, okay, why was she traveling with a knife? Why is she talking about pepper spray? Because, I feel like I usually like to have at least pepper spray and definitely a knife on me whenever I'm traveling, just because I'm used to it being alone. I mean, I've gotten attacked before and I wish I had pepper spray on me, and like I've gotten chased and wish I had pepper spray. So it's just, once you are in a situation where you need it, you'll never not want it on you. So, and also I feel like, I don't know, Americans do get the stereotype of always having like a bunch of weapons on us, and but it comes in handy sometimes. But anyways, the rest of my trip, I had one other knife, but it was a tiny Swiss Army knife, like the little tiny red ones that are about as big as your finger. And I was cutting my vegetables because I did a lot of cooking on the fire and on the camp stove during this trip. And I was cutting my vegetables with this teeny tiny pocket knife, like about the size of like half of a finger, the blade was. So ridiculous. But anyways, the guy ended up being a really cool dude and really nice. He was the guy who I was talking about earlier, who I realized he just wanted people to hang out with. Like, I would set up a time to speak English and try to teach him English, and then he would end up just start speaking Spanish, and we just would go have a good time. Be like, you want to go check out this waterfall? You want to go hiking, whatever? And I'd be like, okay, yeah, I mean, I'll take a free place to stay and free food just to hang out. And then eventually the other girl came and she was really cool. We had a great time. She's from Belgium. And yeah, it was my first Workaway experience. Besides the knife thing, it was pretty standard, nothing crazy out of the ordinary, but it definitely set me up for an amazing time. What are the best things to look at and remember whenever you are finding a Workaway? How can you make this happen for yourself? Go ahead and get a membership, or at least just check out their websites. And once you get a date on your trip, you can buy it a couple weeks before, a week before, and go ahead and start messaging people. Make a profile, let all the skills that you have, your pictures, all those things. And definitely read the reviews. Okay. One of the bad things I don't like about Workaway, and I'm not sure how it is with Worldpackers, but Workaway discards bad reviews. So if there's any really terrible reviews about hosts, they actually get discarded and you can't see them, which just sucks. But it's still good to read the reviews just so you know what you're getting into and see what other people have said. And also, I think it's also a good idea to find out if there's other volunteers there or what the social situation is going to be, because sometimes you go to a volunteer and then you're out in the middle of nowhere and you're the only one. And sometimes that can be even more isolating than just traveling on its own. So making sure that there's at least people that you're going to be working with, or other volunteers, or a family that you can hang out with, or friends, during the evenings or something like that, definitely helps. Another major tip, communication. So like I said about making sure that there's other people to hang out with, it's also really a good idea to have a firm answer on your hours and the work that you'll be doing. Because then if you're getting overworked or underworked or not doing what you had previously agreed on, you have it written down and can show them. Because I've definitely had previous workawayers who they'll kind of like add 1 extra hour. They'll be like, we'll say 3 to 4 hours, and then they'll say, oh yeah, 5 to 6 hours or something like that. Or, I'll be there and I'll be working my hours. And then right when it's time for me to leave, the shop gets super busy or something gets really busy and there's a lot going on and I don't want to leave. But I mean, I'm not getting actually paid for this job. So it's not something that I need to be putting 110% of my effort into and things like that. So just having strong boundaries and definite limitations on your hours and what you'll be doing and things like that. And that's also totally up to you, because some people love to work, but I also love to experience, relax. I have a lot of hobbies that I keep up with while I'm traveling. So there's always things for me to do. Of course, getting like the food, the accommodation in writing before you go as well. And like, I like to ask for pictures of the accommodation so I can make sure that I'm not rolling up into some bed that looks infested with bed bugs or whatever. And then just don't be afraid to ask any questions and be upfront. It will save everyone a lot of hassle, because I have had to leave a workaway before in the middle of it because I just really wasn't vibing. Like, it was eating me away. It was at some hostel and I was very overwhelmed because I didn't speak that much Spanish at that point. This was my first trip in Chile and like my first week on my own. And I was answering the phones and doing all this stuff in Spanish at a hostel. And I just wasn't vibing on that sense. I was getting better and it was going to be okay. But then all of the other employees there were just not making me feel welcomed. And half of it could have been me just feeling awkward and not putting myself out there, because that is also half the battle while you're traveling, is just putting yourself out there. So that's definitely, but I had to leave and I felt really bad. I literally cried to the woman, telling her, I'm like, I really am just not liking this. And I just started crying. And if you know me and if you've listened to my podcast, I'm sure I've said it. I cry literally for any chance I get. I'm crying. And yeah, so I had to leave that one. But yeah, I hope you guys like this episode, and there will definitely be more workaway experiences to come and more of my favorite ones. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I would love to answer some questions about workaway. I think this is a great way for travel to be accessible for everyone, because if you have a workaway lined up and it covers food and accommodation and that's all, and you're okay with just doing that during your trip, literally all you have to pay for is the flights. So, and it's all over the world. So you can look in your own country, you can look in your neighboring countries, you can look in little islands all over the world, and you can filter it by what you want to work for. Sometimes I will look country specific and I'll see what opportunities are in that country, or sometimes I will look for a specific opportunity that I want to work in and then figure out which countries those are in. So there's honestly endless possibilities, and I hope you guys do it one day. If you do, please let me know and we'll have you on the podcast. If you have any workaway experiences that you would like to share on the podcast, please let me know. And I would love to set up a Zoom episode with you and we'll get that on the podcast. So I'm very interested. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Please review, rate, and subscribe to the podcast. I hope you guys have a wonderful start to the new year. Good.